Hello everyone and welcome to Stan the Wine Man TV. I am your host, Stan Rattan, and this is a blue collar wine show where I try to help you spend your wine dollars wisely, your hard-earned wine dollars wisely. And I'm excited about this episode. We're going to do Cotes-du-Rhone and a big boy from the southern Rhone, right in the heart of Cotes-du-Rhone, Chateaunuef-du-Pape. So let's get started. But before we get started, I hate watching SportsCenter after the Seahawks lose. All they're talking about is how great a quarterback Aaron Rodgers is. Yes, he's a great quarterback. So is Russell Wilson. He had a great game too. Seahawks just beat themselves. They beat themselves. It was a close game. I mean, just a couple of things happened that didn't need to happen. A penalty for can't believe how many times Bennett jumped off sides, and yeah, just crazy. I have a lot of hope for the Seahawks. They played the Rams tough. They played the Packers tough in Green Bay. Hard to do. I can hardly wait until they go home and play the Chicago Bears. Should be a different outcome. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Anyway, kind of mad at Cam Chancellor. Not sure what that's all about. Kind of silly, I think. All right. Is that all? That's all on my plate. That's all I have to say. I hope I have a better report after the next game. That's all I can say. I think it's a Monday night game. Not positive. Episode 244. Cotes-du-Rhone. Not Cotes-du-Rhone. There's an S in there. Leave the S out. It's Cotes-du-Rhone. We're going to do just a little lesson on decanting and why you would do that in this particular instance. Now, we're not decanting the La Petite Fontaine Cotes-du-Rhone 2014. We have a 14, a 13, I believe, and a 12 across the board. So this is a new one to me. I've never tried it. Let's see what we get. It rolls in at $10. So, you know, good value. And that's the thing with Cotes-du-Rhone. A lot of them are very good values. There's a label for you. Right there. A little stained up. A little sloppiness on my part. Oh well, that's the way I roll sometimes. Alright. You know, the blends are a hot ticket in the U.S. in my store. Everybody loves blends, 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 blends. Big deal, you know, all the blends. And yet, Cotes-du-Rhone is a blend. But the difference is they can't blend anything they want. They have to have at least 40% Grenache. And if they're going to use Syrah or Mourvedre, they have to use at least 15% of either one. Then they can throw the rest of the grapes in there. And I have not put to memory all the grapes they can use in the Cotes-du-Rhone. There's quite a few. But this one, they actually put it on the back of the label. Kudos to you guys. 60% Grenache, 20% Syrah, 15% Cinsault, and 5% Carignan. No Mourvedre. I love Mourvedre. I hate it when they don't put it. I don't hate it. I also hate this cap. The foil got stuck to the lid. I was able to take it off, but cheap. Let's see what we get on the nose. Immediately I get like violets and crushed rock. A little bit of licorice coming through, which is intriguing. There's like a pine cone, like a pine needle thing. Actually, no, more like a fir pitch. That's what I'm getting. A little bit of strawberry. Definitely strawberry. And a little raspberry coming through. So the nose is very interesting. Let's see what we get on the palate. Very fresh. Pretty simple, but delicious. The crushed rock really comes through on the back end, big time. And you say, do you ever taste crushed rock? Just think about the smell of crushed rock. You know, after the rain, or you're in a, you know, there's gravel just dumped out of a dump truck. It's that smell that you translate into the taste. I haven't licked a rock. I know some people do that, but that's what you do. So much of taste is attributed to smell. So just put that in your, like I've smelled wines that are poopy, and I've tasted wines that are poopy. I've never tasted poop, but I've smelled it, and I'm telling you, it wouldn't be hard to imagine what it might taste like. Just saying. has a little candy-esque thing going on the mid palate, like candied raspberry, like dark raspberry candied fruit, or a little bit of maybe a strawberry candied fruit. Not entirely sweet, but it has that kind of candy-ish flavor to it. Very dry on the finish. This is bone dry. A little bit simple. This is simple Cotes-du-Rhone, nice starter, good fresh acidity. You know, I'd have this with burgers, pizza, be great with food, no doubt about it. So if you're just having a group over, you know, you want to have a nice little glug glug wine with your hot dogs, I'm saying the Domaine Fontaine would be good. I'm going to go C+. C, it's an average Cotes-du-Rhone, maybe a little better than average. All right, let's move on. Good start. 2013 M. Chateaunuef. Yeah, Chateaunuef. Belarus Cotes-du-Rhone. Again, this one has the composition on the label, kind of cool. 60% Grenache, 40% Syrah. Even if they don't have the composition, you know it's at least 40% Grenache. They're all Grenache based. And then after that, it's more than likely Syrah, Mourvedre, Cinsault, Carignan. But essentially, they put it on the back of the label. I love that. All right, this rolls in at. I just have 12 to 13 bucks. I guess it depends on where you're buying it. Let's say $12.50. All right, let's give you a little close-up. Get a little sloppiness on the label. M. Chateaunuef, Cotes-du-Rhone, $12.50. 60% Grenache, 40% Syrah. Let's see what we get on the nose. Yeah, I have a tough crowd for Cotes-du-Rhone in my store. A lot of people don't buy it there. I don't know why. It's a blend. But for some reason, I don't know. Maybe it mystifies them. It's demographics, you know, someplace. But actually, it's getting better now, especially the folks who come down from Canada. We're not very far from Canada. You go up to the west side of the island, you can almost throw a rock to Victoria. That's how close we are. They buy a bunch of, they love French wines. And, of course, my French is starting to build in the store. So this automatically has a deeper nose, has a lot of wet stone on the nose. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. Wet stone and tobacco. Kind of perfumey. It's like almost like a perfume soap element coming through. I get more dark fruits, more of a currant. The minerality is amazing on the nose. A little bit of licorice coming through on this one also. Let's see what we get on the palate. A lot more Syrah on this one. That comes through on the palate big time. You get a meatier, sort of beefy characteristic on the palate. A lot of currants on this one. Getting a little bit of violet coming through. Actually quite a bit of tobacco. And then on the back end, I get a little spiciness and a little bit of tobacco. For a couple of bucks more, there's a lot more going on with this one. That tobacco on the finish with a little currants coming through. Pretty intense, nice layered dark fruit front to back, and then a nice minerality on the finish. Get a lot of like wet stone, kind of gravelly things going on, but at the same time the tobacco notes, and there's a little bit of a tarry element that lingers on the back of this one, and the violets kind of hang in there too. Much more interesting Cotes-du-Rhone than the first one. Definitely a burger wine. This would be good with steaks. Nice fresh acidity, but this one could also be drunk solo. If you have a group of friends just wanting to test out some Cotes-du-Rhone, that would be a good one. I'm going to go B minus on that one. I like it a lot. I'm going to stick straight up B. Straight up B. Better than average, you know, but not in the A category or B plus category. All right, let's move on. Two good Cotes-du-Rhone to start off. Great pricing. Les Bouquets de Garrigues, Cotes-du-Rhone 2012. Did I mention the Chateaunuef was 13? So now we're 2012. Les Clos de Caillou. This rolls in at $29. And this is imported by North Berkeley Imports. These are importers that I have a lot of respect for. They do a very good job. A lot of times as wine buyers we look for certain types of importers that we like their choices in wine. A very iconic importer, and I like a lot of his wines, is Kermit Lynch. I like Charles Neal. I'm not a huge fan of Bobby Ketcher's wines, but he has some good ones. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's doing, but just it's the way it roll. I find less Bobby Ketcher wines I like than North Berkeley or Kermit Lynch or Charles Neal. Let's just put it that way. All right, so Clos de Caillou, I've got right out of the bottle, and I wanted to talk a little bit about decanting, because when you're spending some extra bucks on some bigger wines, and especially with the Chateaunuef-du-Pape, I would encourage, I don't care what you use. I mean, I'm a wine guy. I got people give me stuff all the time. I got this decanter, that decanter, I got one up there. I mean, they're all over the place. I've never bought a decanter, and I would certainly not feel bad about throwing it in a bowl or a Kool-Aid pitcher or a mason jar. It doesn't matter. Give it some air. If it's up there in price, and especially if it's a newer European old world wine, you'll do better if you decant it. Do something to it. You can even use this, like this little gizmo that my buddy Frank gave me. Stir it up a little bit. Give it some air. Whip it up. You'll get more for your money. So we're going to look at both of these together. This is real jammy. I mean, like real jammy on the nose. It smells to me like plums and blackberry jam, like Smucker's plum and blackberry. There's a little minerality coming through. Let's see on the decanted version. See, now this is a little more perfumed, a little more open. I'm getting a little cinnamon coming through, a little vanilla. Interesting. Quite a difference. This is jammier. This is more open, shows more finesse. Very interesting. I'm going to set the one there aside. No, let's do this one first. Let's go this way. That's a big wine. I mean, not what you'd normally expect from a Cotes-du-Rhone, at least not in my case. But it finishes with a good minerality. So you get this big plum, blackberry, a little dark cherry underneath. I mean, front to back, solid, very almost close to jammy. Doesn't quite go there. The minerality kind of holds it in check, and it's got a little freshness from the acidity coming through too. And nice white pepper on the finish. A lot of violets on this wine. Tobacco notes come through. Fairly tight on the palate. This one would definitely age another 8. I'd get 8 plus years. Now let's go to the one that's been decanted. Very interesting. The jamminess calms down. You get a smoother, more seamless flow across the palate. Spiciness on the end, big time. Bigger than the one right out of the bottle. I get the violets, I get the cherries, I get the plums, I get the blackberries, all coming through big time. nice base of minerals. I get like a lot of whetstone, crushed rock underneath, but it's not, it's well integrated with the fruit. Might be a little fruity for some people looking for old world wines. It definitely goes into the almost new world in the style, but with that minerality really checks it down, and the acidity. I'm going B+ on this one, B+, A-. I think it's a good Cotes-du-Rhone. I think it would be up in the A category if it didn't have so much fruit on it. Does that make sense? No, forget I just said it. I'm going to go B+, A-. Good Cotes-du-Rhone, solid effort, good price. Don't forget to decant. It makes a difference. And it, like I said, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. Oh, where am I going? Okay. Now we're going into the big boy. The big bad boy from Chateaunuef-du-Pape. This is Chateau Lenert. We say Lenert because the French can't go TH. We would normally say Lenert, but they say Lenert. Cuvée de Cadets 2010. And this rolls in at a hefty $143. Can't believe I'm doing this on the show. Now, Chateaunuef-du-Pape means House of the Pope. The Pope used to have a castle up on the hill, and now that chateau has vineyards below it. What am I doing? And those are the vineyard slopes of Chateauneuf-du-Pape. They can use 13, count them, 13 grape varietals in Chateauneuf-du-Pape. But the main ones are just like Cotes-du-Rhone, Grenache, Mourvedre, Syrah, Carignan, Cinsault. Those are the main ones. And I think this one has it on there. It does. 44% Grenache, 33% Mourvedre, and 23% Syrah. Now, they have a lot of white grapes there too they can use. Now, if they decide to go with white grapes in with the reds, they have to co-ferment them. So they have to put all the whites and reds together, you know, macerate, press down, punch down, do it all together, co-ferment them, and that's how they do it if they use white grapes. In this particular instance, they don't list any white grapes. So this is straight out of the bottle. If you've never tried a Chateau, you don't have to spend this much money to try a good Chateauneuf. This is the upper end of Chateau Lenert. Their actual entry-level Chateauneuf-du-Pape is in the $50 range, more reasonable. A lot of licorice, a lot of currants coming through. Big meaty nose. I'm even getting a little bit of menthol. Definitely get cinnamon. Cinnamon big time. Now, that was the one out of the bottle. Let's go to the one out of the decanter. It's been decanting for quite a while. Don't get the cinnamon on this one as much. Definitely the currants, and I get a little bit of a back pedal of strawberries. More violets, some mintiness comes through. Now, to be quite honest, the nose on either one of these is not distinctly different like it was on the Clos de Caillou. Actually, the nose is more subdued on the decanted wine. Be curious to see what we get on the palate. Let's try the one straight out of the bottle. Now, granted, the bottle's been open a while, but you hardly get any breathing. Look at, very little air can get in there just by uncorking it. That is badass. Big, meaty, currant, spicy, like spicy all day. Big time spice. You could chew this. You could chew it. It's like somebody rolled a leather, tobacco, currant, lavender, or violet, made like a cigarette out of, you know, a leather roll up out of leather. Not fruit leather, but real leather. You're chewing it. This baby is chewy. I would give it, oh, easily 20 plus years. With a tannic grip on the back end. Really polished though, really smooth across the palate. Loads of tobacco on the finish. Crazy, but really tight. Very youthful wine, 2010. Probably shouldn't be drinking it, but guess what? I don't mind. Sometimes I like them youthful. It's a whole different characteristic of the wine, but it's really good, even in its youth. Kind of like LeBron James, you know, straight out of high school, into the NBA. This is straight out of the bottle, ready to go, but it's only going to get better. A lot more complexity after it's been decanted for a while, which is proof that decanting, if you're going to spend that kind of money on a bottle of wine, if you find yourself, you know, celebrating, or you have a bottle that you want to tuck away and then you bring it out of your cellar. Now, if it gets super old, like if you're talking 20 plus year old wine, you don't have to decant it as much. That oxygen will kick it up right away. But in younger wines, if you're going to buy them and drink them, make sure you decant them in some way. Shake it up, stir it up. Give it some air, and it will improve. This one is much smoother, less grip on the back end. The minerality is amazing on this wine. Amazing. With the fruit. Get that nice, it has like a dark cherry skins. Currants, beefy as heck. I mean, this is a beefy wine. Good violet action coming through, and just a hint of cinnamon on the back end, which is very intriguing to me. Loads of tobacco, very tarry. Amazing wine, amazing wine. This is screaming for a stew or a pot roast or a ribeye steak. Just screaming for it. So, if you're buying an expensive young wine, make sure you decant it. I don't care what you use. Don't worry about these things on my desk, my bar. I've never bought a decanter in my life. I used to use just a pitcher. But you know, you get things. When you're into wine, people give you things, and that's how I acquired those. Hopefully you have friends that are that kind to you. Just remember, I'm going to go A+. B+, this is an A+ wine. No doubt about it. It is incredible. It's got a lot of life left in it. It's going to be fantastic in another 15 years if you have that much patience. I don't even know if I have that much patience. Great stuff. Really is. Thanks for watching. And remember, wine is not a mystery. It is just fermented grape juice. Drink it. Enjoy it. Be willing to try new things. Try Cotes-du-Rhone. You know, I know maybe you're doing blends. Go to Europe where they do blends all over the place and try those. And if you're buying a young, more expensive wine, if you want to get more out of it, make sure you decant it, just so you get your money's worth. If you do, but never, ever, ever let anybody tell you what you should or shouldn't like. And if you do that together, we can take the snob out of wine.